Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today we're checking out a 2024 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid all-wheel drive in the XSE trim level. This vehicle is sitting on 225/60 Michelin tires wrapped around 18-inch alloy wheels with a gloss black finish. It also has four-wheel disc brakes with ventilated rotors in the front and solid rotors in the back. The name of this color is Cavalry Blue, and it's a really cool, kind of like a baby blue in a way, something like that. Looks really good, and it looks good in contrast with the gloss black, which is all over this vehicle, especially here in the front. So the grille has that gloss black portion there, and then a huge portion here at the very bottom. Then there's like this gray or silver piece right here. Now the badging has the blue on it, which also serves as a radar adaptive cruise control sensor. There's a little camera right in here as well for the 360 camera system, which is really good. Parking sensors. It has these little accent lights here at the bottom. They're not fog lights, they're just LED accent lights. Now the LED headlights, they're in a projector housing with a black bezel. They look pretty cool. They have this little design to the headlights, and when the lights kind of reflect in there, kind of accenting that design. It's kind of neat. The gloss black continues here, and it's like basically cladding around the wheel wells, I suppose. And here at the base of the doors, it also has gloss black wheels, pillars, roof rails, so it's pretty much everywhere. It does have body colored handles though. Now you notice this one has a sport tuned suspension. You notice it has this blue strut here in the front. This is what the key looks like. It's pretty much standard Toyota key, RAV4. And it has the ability to lock, unlock, open up the power lift gate and a panic button there. You can also remote start it, but the way, by pressing the lock button three times, then hold it on the third time. But the problem is with Toyotas in general, and Lexus, is that when you remote start it, when you open the vehicle, it turns right back off. So it's a little bit, it's not as useful as other remote start vehicles, but you can remote start it, and it can be somewhat useful. Now it's the type of system where you lock it by putting your finger over the sensor, and you unlock it by putting your hand here on the back of the handle. And it senses the key on the outside of the vehicle and allows you to unlock the vehicle. There's also a physical key location here on the driver's side only. Now the doors go all the way to the bottom of the vehicle, sealing up the threshold fairly well. There's a seal here on the door. They're at the very bottom. The inside of the door, now this is like a vinyl type material. It's all soft touch here, all the way across. Now it has this blue stitching, looking pretty nice. The rest of the door is a hard touch. It has little metallic accents there, handle, and then a pocket there at the bottom. Once again, all hard touch surfaces here. It's durable, easy to clean, and that's the intention. There's a threshold, no fancy seal plate or anything. Manually adjusted seat here on the passenger side. Now these are Soft-Tech seats, and if you know anything about Soft-Tech, it tends to hold up really good. Like vehicles get traded in years later and you clean them up and they look brand new. It's amazing. So yeah, more blue stitching hit there in the center. Pretty comfortable seats, kind of, you know, in that medium range. Not super duper comfortable, but not uncomfortable. It has like a Berber carpet mat back here, or up here. There is a locking glove compartment, and this is all hard touch surfaces here. And smooth plastic on the inside. The cabin filter is actually behind this, so you get this glove compartment out of the way and the cabin filter's in there. Maybe I'll do a video one day. It's really easy to save you a bunch of money at the dealership. So right here is a pocket, and it's really handy for a lot of things to put in there, but it is kind of a, you know, rubber. It's not really, basically things will slide around in there if you put it, like if you don't put papers or something. So it's handy to have, but if it had like some kind of, you know, more textured surface, it'd be a little bit better. So this is a soft touch here and a rubbery soft non-reflective dash. Getting in and out of the front doors and the seats and everything is like really good. The seat height off the ground is perfect just about for anybody. So it's one of those type of vehicles, just easy to get in and out. The opening here in the front is fine. You're not bumping your head or anything. Swinging of the door is great. Now the back door I think could swing out a little bit better. It's just a little bit angled, and so it doesn't swing out as much as I think it could. And I think it'd be a little bit easier to get in and back seat if the door swung out. Now you do have lots of room here. Once again, you're not going to bump your head or anything. so it's fairly easy to get in and out of. It's just this area right here is a little tight, so the swing of the door would help if it was a little bit more. Once again, we have like this vinyl type material here, soft touch at the bottom, a little bit of blue stitching, and a hybrid battery is underneath this back seat, so that saves your cargo area. And then once again, we have the Softech seats. It's basically a bench seat with some contours here, armrest, cup holders, pretty soft. It does have the latch system for car seats here on the outer two seats. On the back of the passenger seat, there's a map pocket, but not on the driver's seat. The floor is almost completely flat. I mean, it has a little hump in the middle, but it's not really a big deal. It has climate control vents here and 2 USB ports for charging. So looking at the back of the vehicle, it has the roof rails, and they went ahead and put the crossbars. Yeah, you can take these crossbars off if you don't want to use them. They'll give you a little bit better gas mileage and stuff. But it has a shark fin antenna that's gloss black. Once again, the whole roof is gloss black actually. And then this rear spoiler. There's the third brake light, and right in here, right below that third brake light, is a camera. And so you want to keep this area right here clean because that's the rear view camera. So the rear view mirror is also a camera. So that's the view, which I think is excellent. I think all vehicles should have rear view cameras, at least as an option. Anyway, has a little wiper there as well. LED, combination of LED and standard bulbs for the taillights. And the backup camera, once again, kind of tacked on, offset, not even in the middle. It looks like an aftermarket add-on. Parking sensors back here, more gloss black, more silver, dual exhaust tips, looking pretty cool. Let's open up the power liftgate here. You can, of course, use the key, but there's a button under here. You can press that, or you can like kick your foot or something. But yeah. And then under here is it's like a really hard touch surface on the underside of the liftgate. If you have all the seats occupied with passengers, this is the cargo space, which is really good. Since considering it's a hatchback, you can really put a lot of stuff in here and easy to get through the door instead of like a trunk or something. So very usable cargo space. Now it has a JBL sound system. There's a subwoofer here. There's also tie downs here. Here on the right side is a single light. Wish I had more, but there it is. And there's a little cubby here with a net pocket, keeping things from sliding out, I guess. But once again, it's like, smooth plastic. So whatever you put in there is going to be sliding around, rattling around. 12-volt power supply back here as well. Now this shade, you can take it out, but it comes back here. And it's pretty basic and simple. Nothing too fancy. And this carpet seems to not fill in all the way up there. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But this lifts up. It doesn't lock or anything. But it lifts up, and there is a spare tire with tools. So some vehicles do not have a spare tire anymore. But this one does. Now there's also a place to store the shade under here as well. If you want this shade up here, if you want to put it down under the floor, out of your way when you're not using it, you could do that. These seats fold down in a 60-40 split, so you can fold down one side or the other to add to your cargo space while still maintaining passenger space, or you can fold them both down and get the maximum amount of room back here. Now you can lower the power liftgate by pressing this button, or you can use the key as well. There is a locking fuel door, and it's on the driver's side, and it has a traditional cap, tether, and a little place to hang the cap here while you're pumping gas. Here's the floorboard in front of the driver's seat. Now you notice the floor mat on this side snaps in place. So it has these little places right here to connect to the floor, so that way it doesn't slide around on you. It keeps it straight and everything. There's the accelerator, brake pedal, and footrest. Really large footrest. Let's take a look under the hood. To raise the hood, there's a latch a little bit to the right of center. Just reach in, down, move it to the left, and lift up. And the hood's got a little bit of weight to it, and it does require a prop to hold it up. The prop is on the underside of the hood, and it swings down to right where that arrow's pointing. There's some insulation under the hood. There's also a seal across the back. There's also insulation on the firewall there. Now the strut towers are kind of braced in to the unibody structure of the vehicle. This engine cover is like a kind of soft, rubbery soft in a way, cover here. So even with all that, you still hear some engine noise. You know, that's the thing about Toyota and Lexus is the engine noise tends to get through. You know, they're loud engines and they tend to get that noise into the cabin a lot. But they are trying to, you know, mitigate that to some degree. The exhaust is there in the back. The intake is here in the front. So you can see the heat shielding back there. Hopefully you can see that. So this is a hybrid vehicle, and Toyota makes really good hybrids. It has a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine and an ECVT transmission. So it's an electronically controlled, continuously variable transmission, basically. So it's not like a normal CVT, but you do kind of get the CVT experience, which is not a big deal. It is all-wheel drive. It puts out 219 combined horsepower. But yeah, it feels strong. It has good delivery to the road and gets really good fuel economy as well. The blind spot indicator is here on the side mirror. Illuminates when there's a vehicle in your blind spot. The driver's door is just like the other side, except for it has a few more buttons. Now there's 2 presets for the power seat here. Power windows are here, and it's one touch up and down, so it goes pretty quick. The back windows, same thing, down, one touch, all the way down as well. There's the door lock controls. Side mirrors are adjusted there. Pretty straightforward. Power seat here on the driver's side with a two-way lumbar adjustment. So you can go forward to back, tilt, and all that stuff, and then a 2-way lumbar adjustment. But yeah, these seats look really cool with these blue stitching. Pretty impressive. Now to the left of the steering column, there's a few buttons here. There's the dimmer switch for the interior gauges. Automatic high beams, you can turn on or off. This will turn on a little heater that's underneath the windshield wipers, so to release them if they get frozen. This is to turn on the awesome camera system that the vehicle has. This is the heated steering wheel, so you can just basically on and off. And then this is the cycle through your odometer or trip, and then you can press and hold it to reset it. This is to open up the power liftgate. Now your vehicle does have to be unlocked for this to work. There's also a tilt and telescoping steering column that you lock in place here. I'm sitting in the driver's seat. I'm 6 feet tall, and I have the driver's seat all the way back and all the way down, and I still feel like I need a little bit more room, you know. So if you're 6 feet tall or taller, you definitely want to take it for a test drive, make sure that it's going to work for you, especially with your, you know, passengers in the back, your family or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's not, it just feels a tiny bit like it needs a little bit more room. So it's not, I mean, it's no problem. I just really wouldn't want to, you know, take super long trips or anything in it. Now the steering wheel feels really good, and it is heated as well, but the heated portion is only here on the sides. It's not on the very top and very bottom. So up here, it's not heated, only on the sides here. Now it has some buttons on the steering wheel, and you notice these buttons here and here. Those are for the radio. So you have the volume for the radio, voice recognition, and then you have the audio source, which is mode, and then there is to change through your tracks or radio stations depending on what you got going on. Now the cruise control settings are here. You do have to turn it on first when you first, you know, start the vehicle. Then you can set, resume, and cancel here. You can set the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you using the radar adaptive cruise control. And then there's the lane keep assist system here. Here on the left side is the phone button. It's a single phone button, so I prefer 2, but it's the same button to answer and then the same button again to hang up. And then there's these little arrows and OK and back button. Those correspond with the gauges. We'll get to that in a second. Windshield wiper controls are here for the front and rear, and it does have an automatic rain sensing system once it was turned on. Now the rear wiper does pass in front of the rear view camera. I mentioned that camera back there, you have to keep it clean. So that rear wiper does pass in front of it, so it's able to help you keep it clean. Here on the left side is a turn signal, of course, but also has the headlight switch. So you can turn off the daytime running lights, automatic, parking, and then headlights here. Now there's this little pocket right here I forgot to mention. So this gauge cluster, you use these buttons to control it. The back, the OK, these arrows right here. So right now it's showing digital speedometer, it has a digital clock there, outside temperature, odometer is right here, and also that's where you find your trips as well when you press the trip button. And then you have a power meter here, average fuel economy, which is doing pretty good. Here on the right side is the just a regular speedometer. It simulates one anyway. There's a power meter, so it shows the energy flow. So whether the energy is coming from the engine, go to the battery, or back and forth, what wheels it's using, all that stuff's going to show up there. and it shows your range, fuel gauge, all that stuff. There is an engine coolant temperature here as well. And it shows you that it's ready. The actual vehicle's on right now. And so the engine will cycle on and off when necessary. Right now it's completely off. It's showing EV mode, the vehicle's ready to drive, all that stuff. So using these buttons here, I'm gonna kind of cycle through here. So if I go left and right, it gives us these different views here. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, you notice these, it's basically the basic structure is the same, but it gives you different information. All right, so let's go to number 2 right here. And let's press and hold OK, and it gives us the ability to highlight either the left, middle, or right. And then once we're on that, we can cycle through and choose what we want to have there, whether it be nothing or the information that we want. Same thing in the center, we can change that if we want. Here to the left, we can change that if we want. So each one of these displays, 1, 2, and 3, we can customize, so that way we can have 3 different options that we quickly kind of go through and change the different ones that we want to look at. So it gives you you know, somewhat customizable gauge cluster. I think it's pretty interesting design, I guess. I mean, it's not fully customizable, but it's very easy to change those views while you're driving. Most vehicles you have to set it up, or that, you know, like it's not easy to, you have to go into some sub menu or something like that to do any kind of adjustments. This one will give you the ability to at least do some changes while you're driving. So there's the start button here, and here is the touchscreen. So it has these little icons here on the left. It doesn't have like a home button or anything, it just has these little icons. And so the top one here is the navigation. Now keep in mind, the navigation has been activated on this vehicle. I didn't do it. You have to use the app on a cell phone to activate the navigation on this vehicle. So, you know, just keep that in mind. You're going to have privacy notices and all that stuff you're going to have to read and decide whether you want to do it. So yeah, it does have a really good navigation map once it's installed and everything. Here's the radio here. You have the different sources. So you have radio, which would be AM, FM, that kind of stuff, satellite radio. And then you have the Bluetooth. It does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. Well, you do have to connect to the system. I mean, you have to set it up for it first before it'll show up. So there's, you can add devices. This is information about the vehicle. So right now it's energy flow. So basically as you're driving, so right now it's showing the status of the battery. So if I go ahead and put it, let me just put it in drive real fast so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's go back to energy flow. So if I move the vehicle right now, you can see it starts showing me that the power is coming from the battery and going to the wheels. So that way, while you're driving, whether the engine's running or whatever, it just has this little energy flow information, which is pretty cool. And down here is the settings. So you can hit that and you can kind of go through and adjust the settings. So now the engine's on now, so you can hear a little bit. All right. So yeah, it's a pretty basic system, but it is very functional. It has some stuff that you would need regularly, and it's easy to get to real fast. You don't have to go too far. These little icons can get you really quickly in different places fast. 4-way flashers are here. Climate control is down here. So it does have an automatic function. Let's go ahead and turn it on. And you can sync the driver and passenger if you want, or you can have them separate. With these knobs is where you adjust the temperature for the driver and passenger. I like these kind of rubbery knobs here. Look pretty cool and rugged feeling. And they protrude out a little bit, so it's very easy to access those and use them while you have gloves on or whatever. Some vehicles have these little itty bitty knobs, and they're kind of like, you know, you have to like get your hand in there and everything. But this one's like perfect, you know, as far as just the ease of turning them, finding them, all that stuff. So you have the automatic function, off, sync, and then you have the different buttons here: front rear defroster, recirculate the air. You can concentrate everything on the front of just the front instead of the back if you'd like to do that. This is where you want the air to blow, and then there's the fan speed if you want to adjust it, you know, manually instead of the automatic. You do have an eco heat and cool. This will, you know, kind of diminish the heating and cooling in the vehicle, as far as like, maximum. If you want like maximum heat or maximum cool, then it kind of cuts down a little bit, but it does save you a little bit of energy. So there is heated seats, and it's a high and low for both the driver and passenger. Traction control off button is here. If you need to spin tires for whatever reason, you can turn them off. So yeah, if I'm driving like this, and then I just slow down, I think it's like, 5 miles per hour or something like that, then the camera turns on, and I'm able to quickly kind of get my bearings on where I'm at compared to other things. So, typically when you're driving, you're aware of the surroundings of the vehicle, but this gives you just that certainty of making sure that you're, parked properly, or if you're not too close to things, that kind of thing. Ran. But as we drive, you'll be able to see this over here where the engine's running, and then it powers not only the wheels, but it also is able to recharge the battery and stuff like that. So even though you have a little bit of engine noise coming in, it's not really that bad. I've heard definitely louder Toyotas, and the acceleration is very satisfying with that hybrid system. With the electric motors, so it has 2 motors in the front and 1 in the back, and so it has that on-demand all-wheel drive system. So I'm on dry pavement, so I don't really need all-wheel drive right now, but it does give you that all-wheel drive system. Now, I don't feel any torque steer or anything like that. I haven't experienced that, so it does a good job of handling everything, and mostly with the front wheels. Now, with the hybrid system, you're bumping up the efficiency to a great degree. So I'm averaging a little bit over 40 miles per gallon, and that's pretty good. I mean, for a vehicle like this. Now, it's just me and my equipment. I don't have like a bunch of people in here, and also I'm driving on flat roads. I'm not driving up mountains or anything. But as it is, it's pretty good. 40 is, for this type of vehicle, is pretty good. So having the electric having the battery and the electric motors, you're able to take the kinetic energy of the forward motion and put it back into the battery and then reuse it later. So it adds to that efficiency. So the more electricity you have basically in a car, the more you can increase the efficiency. That's why EVs are like the most efficient, because they're all electric, right? So yeah, it's a very efficient vehicle. Now, I think one of the positives, I would say, that I noticed, driving RAV4s, is that, especially this generation here, is just it feels very solid. It's just a very solid feeling vehicle, and very confident. There's no, I don't feel any there's no rattles or anything like that, or it's very stable. Even at high speeds, it just feels like a very strong, sturdy vehicle. The noises are tolerable, especially if you're have the radio playing or something like that. I mean, it's not really a big deal. Toyotas vary. They tend to be sometimes loud, but this one is fine. Like, the engine is running right now, and it kicked in. I can feel it a little bit kicking in, so it wasn't as seamless as it could have been, but it is right now not very loud. Sometimes there's certain vehicles, certain Toyotas, and you'll hear this a lot with Toyota and Lexus, that the loudness, and I've mentioned this before lots of times because it's always an issue, that there is a loud motor turning on, especially on a hybrid. You're driving along and all of a sudden it's all nice and quiet, and then you hear the engine turn on, and then so it's kind of a little bit more jarring because you're not accustomed to the engine being on all the time. With a hybrid, since it's turning on or off. So that's part of it too. Yeah, very satisfying acceleration for this type of vehicle, and the fuel economy and everything. And the adaptive cruise control lane keep assist system, it works fine. It's not really, nothing super special, but it's not a problem either. It's kind of in that it works, so that just leave it alone, basically. So yeah, it's good. It's a good system. Really like the rear view camera here. Of course, I mentioned the 360 camera. You know, parking and everything is great. So yeah, you know, a little bit higher speeds, get up to about 60 miles per hour. I hear a little bit of wind noise, but there's very little road noise. I don't hear any road noise. It's just engine and wind noise, really. To me, it's more, actually, right now, it's more wind noise. All right, so that was basically to the floor most of the time. So yeah, the acceleration, you get the CVT experience, which I don't mind. Me personally, I don't mind CVTs. This one is actually done really well. Toyota hybrid systems, you know, they have a different type of CVT type system. So it's not really the same thing as, say, a Nissan CVT that has the belt and stuff. It doesn't have that kind of system. And then Honda has their own separate system. So yeah, it's pretty interesting and amazing what they're able to do with hybrid systems in their transmissions. You know, just kind of integrating everything. When you have electric motors, you have multiple electric motors actually, and it's able to deliver the power to the wheels through a system that is like a CVT, but it's not, and it's not really a traditional transmission either. You know, so. Pretty interesting, and you know, the engineering is amazing, and it's reliable. That's another thing. You know, that's key right there. You know, if a vehicle is unreliable and it's going to have problems, then you know, what's the point, right? So with Toyota, you have the reliability, you have the efficiency here, and just a solid vehicle. And the all-wheel drive on demand is, you know, that's the big plus as well. So yeah, there's a lot of positive I could say about this particular vehicle. I mean, it is the #1 vehicle basically in the United States, I think. Pretty sure it's still on top as far as the #1 selling vehicle besides the truck. You know, the trucks are the top, and then you have this vehicle. Then I think it's like the Tesla Model Y or something like that. So it's in that range, in that top tier vehicles. But yeah, it matches a lot of people's preferences. With the hatchback, the height of the vehicle getting in and out is good, the efficiency, and I think the roominess I think will work for most people. But you know, me, I feel a tiny bit cramped in it, but not really a big deal. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. A lot of you probably already have like a RAV4, maybe a different previous generation, different year model. But let me know what you think of this RAV4, and also the new change they're going to have next. Yeah, I think it's 2026. So another year or so, they're going to have the new redesigned RAV4. So looking forward to that. This one, I think, is about 5 years old or so, and it was pretty good. There was a couple things I was kind of scratching my head on, wondering why they designed it that way, but yeah, it worked out well for them, and hopefully the next generation will be just as successful. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.